Alright guys, I hate to get all dad mode, but this is just too cute. I couldn't pass it up. You gotta check this out. Look at her sleeping there. Oh, there. Oh, she's so beautiful. I'm a proud father.
Zen gordita. Alright guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over the build I have here for a desktop. It's based off of the Ryzen 1950X, the Threadripper series of the Ryzen CPUs that AMD has come out with. This 1950X is the top of the line that AMD is offering at the moment. So it is a 16-core, 32-thread, 3.4 gigahertz CPU with a 4.0 overboost. It has 64 lanes going on it. And it's quite the monster from what all the reviews have been saying so far. So for those of you who don't understand what I'm saying, 16 core, 32 thread. So with all these modern day higher end CPUs at least, they're built with this thing called multi-threading inside of it for the most part, or threading. What it does is it takes each physical core and it can separate it. It splits it in half so that each core does twice the work. So basically it theoretically makes it so you have double the amount of cores of whatever processor you actually have. So 16 core processor thus turns into 32 cores. So like if you were going in and you monitor your processor in the control panel, you can see there will be 32. It'll say 32 cores because that's what the computer thinks, thanks to the multi-threading or hyper-threading or whatever you want to call it, the threading. But yeah, so this thing's a little monster going on here. All the reviews are saying that this is the way to go if you want a multi-threading or multitasking CPU, which is what I'm aiming for. I want to be able to do a full stream recording and gaming all at once with a very good quality. So I went all out on this build here. Thus the reason I chose the Ryzen Threadripper over the Intel. Originally I was going to go with the 7820X, which is a 8-core, 16-thread CPU. It has good reviews, but it's just for the amount of tasks I want to be able to complete, and for future reliability, I wanted to go all out and go ahead and get the best I could get, which was this for now. I mean, of course, I could have gone with a super high-end i9 and paid $2,000 just for the i9, whereas this Ryzen Threadripper is only like $980, something like that. Another big thing that really drove me over to the Ryzen over doing the 7820X is the amount of lanes within the CPU. So the amount of lanes affects how many PCI things you can have going on. So all your DDRs, all your M.2s, your all types, all the stuff that you plug in basically, that's memory related or some type of stuff like that, is like your PCI stuff. So the biggest thing that comes out of that, for me at least, is the ability to do SLI. So on the Intel, of course, I mean, on all the processors, you can do SLI as long as you have a motherboard with multi-slots and all that stuff for all the PCI to fit in. But what it boils down to is, even though I could have two 1080 Ti's with that 7820X Intel processor, it is only a 28-lane processor. So after doing some reviews and reading up, what that boils down to, depending on the motherboard, is how much performance you're going to get out of your graphics card. So since obviously I went with a Geforce GTX 1080 Ti, which is a top-of-the-line card, and it cost a top-of-the-line price, so I want the full performance out of it. If I took this over to an Intel system and I ever did SLI with a 1080 Ti, the second graphics card would be limited. So instead of being X16, this is with the Intel, of course, instead of it being X16, it would only be an X8. So it limits the amount of performance coming out of the graphics card. Now, how much that performance is limited, I don't exactly know. I have heard it is not that big of a difference. But like I said, if I'm paying $700, $800 for a GPU, I better damn well get $700, $800 of GPU performance. And I'm not going to be the factor to cause the limiting there. So I went with the Ryzen because since it is a 64-lane CPU, it allows for you to have full X16 for more than one GPU that you have plugged into your system there. So if I ever do a second 1080 Ti, which I doubt I will anytime soon, this Ti is going to be dominating for years, hopefully a couple of years. I don't know. computers grow so fast, it's kind of annoying. Anyways, so hopefully it lasts for a good amount of time. To go with that, I went ahead and got I kind of cheaped out on this. I did a SSHD. It's a hybrid solid state and hard drive together kind of thing. My understanding is it does have a small solid state within it to hold like the operating system and things like that. And then the rest of it is, the majority of it is the regular hard drive. It's a 2 terabyte, so plenty of room in that. I also have another 1 terabyte hard drive I'll be plugging in with that for extra storage. Probably the 2 terabyte will probably hold most of my games, whereas the 1 terabyte will be movies and pictures and all that nonsense. Anyways, and then I got 32 gigs. It's 2 sticks of 16 gigabyte DDR, so 32 total between those 2 sticks. It is the Vengeance LPX, which is one of the better reviewed RAMs out there for DDR4. It is Corsair is the brand. I know it seems like I got a lot of Corsair stuff, and I seem to enjoy their stuff. It's pretty good quality. But so when it comes to RAM, I've never really been fully understanding of how to calculate all the stuff that goes into deciding what's the best RAM for your build and all that stuff. Sorry, my kid's back there watching a movie, he's coughing. Anyways, so I've never really been the guy to know what to look for on RAM. Like I know, okay, I want 32 gigs. So that's really what I did here is I looked for 32 gigs and I looked for the best price. And that's how I came to this one. I know there's a lot more factors that should go into it. I unfortunately it's my weakest point on the builds here and all that stuff when it comes to computers. Anyways, so hopefully this 32 gig should be more than enough. Everything I've seen, I was watching some videos comparing 32 to 16 gigs of RAM, seeing what the actual performance difference was, and it was so minimal. It was one to 2 frames per second in gaming most of the time, sometimes up to 10, but I mean, in the end, for the builds I was seeing, it was like 100 frames per second versus 110 frames per second. So it's not like you're going to see that difference at that high of a frame per second, really. Yeah. Moving on from that, we've got the Floe Ring 360 Premium Edition CPU cooler there. It is a liquid cooler. So for this Floe Ring, even though it does say it only supports AM4 and LGA 2066, all the things online says it does support TR4 also, which is the Threadripper's CPU socket. And then we've got the MSI Carbon Gaming Pro AC motherboard, the X399. Really, in the end, I just went with this because, you know, it looks nice. It has really good reviews. All the motherboards out there right now are kind of top of the line. There's not really much to lose out on. There are other ones that are like even more. I mean, this one I paid $360 for, maybe something like that. Whereas there was like $500 ones and all. But so this one I liked the most. It has a bunch of cool features that allow you to adjust things and all. It's got the MSI over boosting and all that stuff in game mode. But I'm going to test it out, see how it does. I've never really been one to tell a big difference between any motherboards. It's a good looking motherboard. It has plenty of RAM slots, plenty of M.2 hard drive slots or SSD slots. Sorry, not hard drive, SSD slots. Plenty of PCI Express lanes. So it should be good to go. I think it'll be a good motherboard. And I mean, you're paying top dollar, so you're going to get a top dollar motherboard anyways. It's not like you could go for a low end motherboard really for this TR4 socket anyways. All the motherboards from what I've seen were over $300 for the price. I got a 860 watt Corsair 80 plus platinum rated power supply right there. It should be more than enough to provide for the system build I got here. Originally I was going to go for like a 650 or 700, but I wanted to plan for future reliability. So if I did add another TI, I didn't know how much I quite would need. I guess on PC Part Picker I could have added a second TI and seen what the actual requirements would have been, but it's whatever. It's a full modular power supply, so I mean I can add and take out wires as I need to limit the amount of clutter and make sure that I'm getting the most out of what I need out of this power supply and all that stuff. So another thing, so I'll move on to the case there. As you see on that case, it's got, I'll try to point at it with my finger, right there. So you see this graphics card here is set out on a bracket and it's angled up sideways instead of flush into the motherboard. So I went ahead and got this little bad boy right over here, right there. It's a PCI Express 3.0 riser cable. That's what it's called. And now I wasn't sure if the Thermaltake case came with it. I know it displays the picture like that, but you know, you get those displays sometimes and it's like, oh, this is what you could have, but we don't include this. I didn't read the box. I don't know if the box has the cable inside of it, but that way, you know, better safe than sorry. I don't want to have to make the hour drive back to Fry's, because that's the closest really good or somewhat decent computer store within my area. Anyways, moving on from that, I've got the TG7 Thermaltake thermal grease for the CPU. Hopefully it works pretty good. I've seen pretty good reviews on it. You know, it claims like, whoa, it's got diamond dust in it. I don't know if that really does anything. It was like $5. I wanted to get an extra tube just in case. You never know what happens. It doesn't hurt to have an extra tube around. Back to the case. Sorry, I should have said a little more about that. It is a design to be more towards the whole wall-mounted fad that's been going around. For me, it was just an easy way in. I wanted to make something myself, but I was, you know, I'm always pushed for time. I want to get everything done as quick as possible. I have a hard enough time doing a lot of extra stuff because, you know, I'm a single dad, so I got to take care of the kids all the time. So as much as I could do, I'm mainly worried about the whole open air type of thing. Since there is nothing blocking dust from falling directly on it, I'm going to be having to dust this thing all the time. I might probably add another layer of like plastic, clear plastic or plexiglass or actual glass, whatever it is, on the top there, so there's not as much settling down directly onto the computer build. But altogether, I mean, it's going to suck in a lot more dust. It's a lot more open air. But we'll see. I'll hopefully it comes out good. If it doesn't, if I don't like the way it's going, I do have a second case here, a full tower from my previous setup, which was like a super old setup. It was from like 2006, maybe 2008. No, 2009. It was from like 2009. No. Yeah, 2006. It was from like 2006. It was whenever the Core 2 Quad Q6600 was like the big name to go to for your quad core CPUs. It's that old, the other desktop I have. So this is my upgrade. But yeah, so I have that full tower from that I can transfer this over to. If I don't like this case, then I'll piece it out somewhere else, sell it to someone else. Anyways, so then I got the Corsair gaming keyboard up there, the K70 Lux RGB edition. It's a mechanical keyboard. Hopefully it comes out really good. Hopefully it's a really good quality. I was looking at a cheaper Corsair, and a guy came up and extremely recommended this. He seemed to know what he was talking about slightly. I'm not very knowledgeable at keyboards. I know WAS and D is all I really need. But he recommended this one, so I went with his word, took his word, and got it. It looks cool. It's got, you know, the red, green, blue functions and all that stuff, so you can adjust all that. I guess it'll match some of the other stuff on my setup. Yeah. It is pretty expensive. I only, you know, I had like old Logitechs in the past for like $20 and all that stuff. Like random keyboards you just get from like Walmart. Nothing special. No mechanical keyboards. I've never really owned one, so I'll see how this is. You know, I didn't have any cool keyboard to go with my laptops because, you know, it has a keyboard built on. There wasn't really a need for me to get one. But now I went ahead and got one because obviously a desktop, you have to have a keyboard. So got that whole setup. This is all. Alright guys, sorry for the mess all around here. Working on the setup there. Ran into one error in terms of the Core P3 SE case. It's missing the horizontal bracket that was really like a big selling point for like mounting the GPU horizontally. So unfortunately I can't do that for now. I'm gonna have to mount the 1080 Ti straight on the motherboard, but whatever. For now I'm going to do the unboxing of the Ryzen Threadripper. Crazy box. Super awesome packaging. Go ahead and open it up. Twist to unlock the power. Rip here. I have to do that. Ooh, okay. There we go. God dang. There she is. That is the Ryzen Threadripper. within here. Try to figure out the easiest way to do this without hurting myself or something. Oh god, it really pops right off. Alright guys, there it is, the actual CPU. It is very large when you compare it to a normal sized CPU. It actually has a good amount of weight to it too. That's it, guys. Go ahead and put this in a second. Let's go ahead and look, see what else is in here real quick. Oh, awesome, perfect. So they provide you the Torx wrench for it, which is really nice that they provide that. I was so afraid they weren't going to. And of course you've got your bracket for your CPU cooler. Now this fits, from what I understand, it fits like most AM4 CPU cooler fans, because it's just that circular piece and they sit on top of each other. But yeah. Alright, we'll go ahead and install things in a second here. Alright guys, the last thing to unbox here is the 1080 Ti itself. Setup's almost all the way done. Just gotta get this bad boy open and installed. Finish routing the power. And we will hopefully see it run. I'm gonna be too rough with it. Sorry about the mess. It's been quite a headache dealing with this setup. Open the box right away, get a cool little packet. Some doodads and knickknacks. Get the Strix thing. Little starter guide. Put that properly. Goes up. Set that aside. Put that open. Back here. Some ROG cable ties. PCI Express dual cable. Here is the card. Freaking massive card. Of course, she opens it up. Whew. Look at that. Oh, there's a plastic cover on the back. That's nice. It's nice that they put this cover there so that you can actually hold it. You don't have to worry as much about getting your fingers all over it. Look at that, triple fans. The thing is gigantic. Shoot, it's almost as big as the freaking CPU cooler itself. There's that. Gotta make sure to take off this prior to install. And we're gonna slap it on there in a few seconds here. Beautiful looking card though. Bunch of HDMI's, still has a TVI on it. Very nice card, very nice. Alright guys, finished the build here, got it all set up and good to go. Everything's all hooked up. So I was trying to save more space on the desk. It didn't work out as well as I planned. I didn't realize how massive that tower actually was. I mean, it's only a mid tower. It's not a full even. But as you see, it takes up most of the desk. Something I'm going to have to figure out is what to do with the Logitech steering wheel. Because, you know, obviously it takes up all the main space directly in front of the monitor. Yeah, and then I was thinking of like, oh, I'd just slide the monitor over
game from here, but obviously, you know, there's not room to really have the mouse and all that stuff. So, I mean, for now, I just got to figure out what to do with this. I guess I could pop it off and set it aside or something. But, so here's the setup. Like I was saying, it's the Ryzen 1950X. You probably noticed that the Thermaltake cooler is upside down actually on the CPU. I mean, in the end, it's just a circle, so it doesn't matter what direction you're going in. The only reason I have it that way is because it was the only way that, I mean, I was trying to do it up, you know, straight up and down and all upright so that the T's were facing the right way and Thermaltake wasn't upside down. But it stretched these hoses, the water lines, too much. So I wound up just having to keep it that way. It is the safest way for me. And then other things like I was saying before. So the 1080 Ti is very large, as most people probably know. You can see it purring there, that on and off there. But so this fan system over here had to be scooted outward. So I only have four bolts holding it in place on the right hand side of it, or as we look at it. Because there's nothing on the left hand side for me to bolt into anymore since I had to scoot it over. And then things I need to work on that I already said, I believe, was one, I need to get some type of support arm for the 1080 Ti. So right now, I jerry-rigged a piece of metal between the power supply and the middle of the 1080 Ti. It seems to be working nicely. I mean, it's holding it up, but it looks super ghetto. So they sell these support arms that come out and, you know, come under the whole thing and support it and all. I'll probably wind up getting one of those because the Ti is heavy and it does sag on this end down here. It kind of sags down. And then besides that, I'm going to get longer cables so that I can take these two CPU cables here and route them to go up through there and then pop out down here straight to the power supply, make it look cleaner. And then I'll probably do another one for the PCIe cable that runs right there from over next to the RAM. It runs along and down in there. Probably do the same thing for that so I can route it up and around. And then I did have to contact Thermaltake. Hey, what's up, bud? Sorry, my little guy ran in here. I had to contact Thermaltake because the case did not come with the horizontal mounting bracket, which would actually make this look a lot cleaner. I think I'd be able to hide a lot more cables and stuff. But I'm going to get that, and then we'll be... I contacted them. I'm hoping they'll send me a replacement part since it didn't come in the box. But that'll allow me to take the GPU off the motherboard, flip it upright horizontally, and then we'll be good to go.